Just recap. One day, Tom and his family, his wife Julia and their two kids, Cassie and Ben, embark on a yacht trip in the Caribbean. It's a peaceful, bright day, and the family is relaxed, enjoying the gentle waves and warm sun. Tom and Ben are focused on fishing off the back of the yacht, eager to make a catch, while Cassie is engrossed in her gadget, taking a break from the family activities. Julia, feeling the pull of the warm water, decides to take a swim. She slips into the clear blue sea, letting herself float along the surface, fully enjoying the calm surrounding her. As Julia drifts, a strange feeling creeps up. She senses that something is amiss beneath the surface, but the water remains still. She looks around, but the ocean is as calm as ever. She shakes off the feeling, telling herself it's just her imagination. Meanwhile, on the yacht, the instruments start behaving oddly. They flicker, displaying unusual readings, but Tom, focused on his fishing with Ben, doesn't notice the sudden changes. Cassie, lost in her gadget, remains oblivious as well. Julia's unsettling feeling intensifies, but she keeps swimming, not wanting to disrupt the family's day. Suddenly, she begins to struggle. It feels as if the water itself is pulling her down, tugging her farther from the boat. She tries to swim back, but feels caught in a powerful current. She calls out, her voice barely carrying over the distance. Her family is too absorbed to hear her cries at first. The water pulls her farther away, making it even harder for her to reach the yacht. Finally, Tom hears her distant voice and realizes she's in trouble. He leaves the fishing rod, rushing to the helm to steer the yacht closer. With Cassie and Ben helping, Tom brings the boat near enough to dive in and pull Julia back on board. Shaken but safe, Julia thanks them as she catches her breath. The family reassures her, and they all try to brush off the incident, chalking it up to a freak current. The mood lightens as they remember that today is Ben's 13th birthday. They bring out a small cake Tom had stored below deck, and he lights the candles, congratulating Ben on his special day. The family sings, and Ben opens a few small gifts while Cassie snaps a group photo, capturing the happy moment. Just as they finish celebrating, Cassie's phone rings. It's her boyfriend, calling from the shore to chat. He mentions a storm he's heard about coming up near the coast. Just as the connection suddenly cuts off, Cassie tries to reconnect, but the line remains dead. Then, the yacht jolts unexpectedly. The family rushes to the deck and is stunned to see the massive carcasses of whales floating around them, some even colliding with the boat. Tom, an experienced oceanographer, explains that whales can sometimes get disoriented and swim off course during storms, but these whales appear strange, as if something more severe pushed them here. As the boat rocks dangerously with each hit from the carcasses, Tom decides to dive down and check the propeller. He comes back up moments later, having injured himself on the propeller's bent shaft. Julia quickly stitches up his shoulder, realizing that they might be unable to sail without a functional propeller. With their supplies limited, they now face the unsettling reality of being stranded. Then, a strange sight fills the sky as the family sees small glowing objects falling, one landing so close that it damages the yacht's engine. Tom scrambles to assess the damage as they all feel the air turn heavy, an odd sensation surrounding them. The wind begins to pick up, and a low rumbling sound grows in the distance. Realizing a storm is about to hit, they take cover inside the yacht. The instruments go haywire, displaying erratic readings, while eerie sounds echo through the cabin. The family huddles together, bracing themselves as the yacht rocks violently against the powerful waves. Eventually, they drift off to sleep, anxiously awaiting daylight. In the morning, they step outside, but nothing could have prepared them for what they see. The ocean is gone, replaced by an expanse of cracked earth and rocky outcrops where water once surrounded them. It's as if the sea had vanished overnight, leaving them marooned on dry land. Tom inspects the ground, trying to understand what happened, but there are no clear answers. With little else to do, they try using the radio to signal for help. After a few tense minutes, they hear a faint reply. It's from Nudo, the captain of a small submersible. He explains that he was deep underwater when the catastrophe happened, which kept him and his vessel safe. However, he warns that the sea is likely to return soon, and when it does, it won't be gentle. He urges them to seek higher ground before it's too late. The family begins packing up, preparing to venture away from the yacht in search of higher ground. As they gather supplies, a shadow appears on the horizon. A lone figure approaches the yacht, and Tom walks out to meet him, hoping it might be someone who can help. But as the man comes closer, Tom realizes something is wrong. Without warning, the stranger attacks him, catching Tom off guard and injuring him severely. Julia sees the attack and rushes to help, but the man is relentless, his aggression wild and unprovoked. The children help her barricade themselves in the cabin, and Julia hides Cassie and Ben in a storage locker, giving Cassie the flare gun in case the intruder breaks through. The man manages to force his way inside, and Julia distracts him by diving overboard. She hides beneath the yacht, but the man's dog finds her, forcing her to defend herself. The dog's yelp brings the man outside, where he finds its body, realizing Julia is close. She climbs back onto the yacht, sneaking back inside, but he catches her and pins her down. Cassie, realizing the danger, fires the flare gun, knocking him off Julia but setting part of the yacht ablaze. Julia grabs her kids, and they all jump overboard, making a narrow escape just as the yacht explodes behind them. Now on the open seabed, they travel across the rocky terrain, facing even harsher challenges with limited food and water. Toxic waste barrels and heaps of debris make navigation treacherous. At one point, they stumble upon a dead hammerhead shark and try to butcher it for survival, only to see the strange man pursuing them again. Fleeing, they come across a field of trash and plastic, remnants of human activity long covered by the ocean. Realizing they are being hunted, they press on, rationing their supplies as best they can. Julia and the kids come across the remains of an old, crashed plane, deciding to take shelter inside for the night. Julia looks at the last family photo taken on Ben's birthday, sharing stories with her kids about meeting Tom in their early days. The bittersweet memories comfort them as they fall asleep. In the middle of the night, Cassie hears a noise and steps outside, acting as bait to lure the intruder away. As he approaches her, Julia ambushes him, wounding him severely and sending him into the darkness. The next morning, they wake and continue their journey, though their hopes are dimming. Ben is severely dehydrated, and Julia gives him the last of their water, urging the children to keep moving. They spot a flare in the distance and realize it's Nuto's signal. Driven by this glimmer of hope, they make their way toward it, trudging through rough terrain until they see a yellow submarine in the distance. They climb toward it, but just as they get close, the ground shifts, causing a rock slide that separates Julia from her children. She urges Cassie to protect her brother, encouraging them to reach the submarine without her. Cassie and Ben manage to reach the sub, where Nuto, badly injured, helps them aboard. Cassie goes back for Julia, who is struggling against the crabs that have begun emerging, drawn to the new shoreline. Using the last of her strength, Julia fends off the crabs and makes it back to the submarine just as a massive wave begins rolling in from the horizon. The family barely has time to climb aboard before the sea returns, lifting the submarine and carrying it across the rocks. In a final turbulent surge, the wave tosses the submarine and its passengers to an unknown shore, where it comes to a stop. When Julia awakens, she finds the hatch above her cracked open to sunlight and realizes they are in a ruined, deserted city, brought here by the mighty wave. The family emerges, looking out over the landscape, thankful to have survived but unsure of what lies ahead. The tale is a gripping survival story, filled with tension and environmental warnings throughout.